The main crater exploded?
Well, it was, the one that you guys went up to? I
Yeah.
wasn't there, but you guys went into the park,
And they
right?
have the museum?
Yeah. It didn't, I mean, it wasn't a lava explosion, but I think what happened is like, so that lava lake hasn't really dropped below 100 feet in the past, like, fucking years. You know what I mean? Like, barely below 100, maybe.
Yeah.
Usually it's at somewhere. It's basically been like a toilet bowl, and it's dropped down now to like 700 and some feet below the surface. So whatever math that would be, 700 feet minus or times or whatever the diameter of that thing was, like they flushed the fucking toilet and all that lava just went, you know. So now some of the walls of that crater are like caving, like craving, like fucking caving in. I mean, because it doesn't have that structural integrity, of the lava or that pressure holding the walls of whatever that cavern is up. So it had some pretty big like rock falls and explosions and shit earlier today. Pretty cool.
Everybody's okay?
Yeah.
It amazes me that.
It's like a big plume of like dust.
Oh.
It's because like shit has been falling off and dropped down into it. Then you have this mixture now, like lava and dust and rock and whatever. And so it's cool.
So, for those of you guys who don't know, there's been a bunch of lava explosions on Josh's Island.
Luckily not near me.
And this is not the reason why we're talking today, but so the reason why we're talking today is we launched USMC Prep in October, and so we've had a good amount of time to kind of assess a lot of different questions, and then also see a lot of issues and see a lot of some of the negativity that honestly that comes with it as well. And so I thought it was a good time to kind of sync back up with Josh and just have a candid conversation on training methodology and thought process when it comes to specifically training for the military, and kind of where state of the nation, if you will, the state of the nation of military readiness, physical fitness. But as far as the Hawaii, like, you're okay, your family's okay, everybody's fine on the island.
Yeah, somehow as of right now, there's no reports that any persons themselves have either been hurt or lost their life, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. How many earthquakes have you guys had?
Dude, I don't know, man. One day it was like 400.
Yeah, the first day you called me, it was 400 earthquakes.
Yeah.
Crazy. That whole island's gonna sink.
Nah. This isn't like Armageddon or anything, man. It's just it's Earth making new Earth and creating new things, and unfortunately right now you got some homes and some people that are having to feel the wrath of it, but
yeah,
from a worldly perspective and scientific, I think it's pretty cool.
Nobody's hurt. All right, so man, it's been an awesome ride since last October when we launched these things.
It's been good. It's been beneficial for a lot of guys too that have gotten programs.
The stories that we've been hearing have been absolutely amazing. I mean, people dropping tons of weight. I mean, like whole people.
Yeah.
Absolutely whole people, and going from, not passing the IST to damn near after a couple rotations maxing out the PFT.
Yeah.
And
healthily, like.
Yeah.
Being able to like healthily rebound from it, and good, for duration of time.
So I guess I don't know where to kick it off, but like how did this all start?
Probably some sort of angst, and anguish, anger, initially. I mean, let's be honest here, yeah. I mean, like just taking a healthy look at where younger individuals are today, and then taking a look back at our past, where we were maybe at that point in time, and then you start compounding off of that, like knowledge and education and learning, on all different platforms, whether it be the time that we served, you know, and whether it was the good, bad, and the ugly that came out of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, things we've learned from like scientific or physiological perspective, biomechanical perspective, you know, and just kind of putting all that together and figuring out, okay, now that we've learned all that or understood all that from a personal perspective, what can we do about it? Like in a positive way, how can we benefit others, you know, from learning from, you know, ours and many other mistakes?
Yeah, I can tell you honestly, like when I was in, as hard as I trained, I did not train efficiently,
No.
and it was definitely not smart. I mean, it got the job done. Don't get me wrong, it got the job done, but
Yeah.
at what cost?
And I think that's like the biggest thing that a lot of guys that are currently in right now uh, don't quite understand, or maybe they're not really realizing it like full spectrumly, you know?
Yeah.
Is that the things that we did, obviously it got us through, you know, successfully in Excel, the boot camp, and, you know, all different various MOSs and then different types of selections or deployments and all that stuff. But it doesn't mean that it was, you know, optimal. Doesn't mean it was like properly effective for the human body. That's,
Right.
That's really what we're, you know, trying to address.
Now let's start back. Let's like go back to, like so let's start with a high schooler and what we've seen. So what really has happened, and I've talked about this on the channel before, is I started getting hundreds of kids messaging me saying, "Hey, I want to join the Marine Corps, but you know, how do I train? What's some tips, tricks, some things, some sneaky ways to like make things happen?" And so, you know, this became a trend. So I got with Josh and said, "Hey, man, we really need to like let's come up with something really smart to offer as a solution to help these guys get ready for the military." And that's really where the birth of this place, and this is what I was getting. And Josh, you and I talked about this.
Yeah.
I had typically had two things. Now that we've kind of broke these two things down, I get a lot more. But I was getting two things: either a young man or woman was like grossly overweight, and didn't meet the height and weight standards to even join the Marine Corps or take the IT, you know, or any military branch, and they obviously couldn't pass the IST. So that was one thing. So it was an overweight individual that didn't have the strength and stamina to pass the IST. And then the other thing would have been was they were too skinny, and again they were having a hard time. And that was me as a young guy. I was a super skinny guy doing a gallon of milk a day, eating everything in my sight, and I just could not gain weight whatsoever, which is definitely not the case anymore. But I was that guy. So there's other guys that just can't put on muscle and can't build the strength that they want to do that. They're just super, super skinny. So those are the two questions that we were getting. And I know that we've addressed, that was like the foundation of like, okay, here's the problem set, right? Here's the problem of what we have going on, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were on the skinny side of the spectrum, like I wasn't fat by no means, you know, but I was big and strong, but not like Marine Corps, you know, strong, like not like military strong.
You played baseball, right?
I played baseball and I played football for, you know, I mean, baseball my entire life since I was probably 5, and then football, you know, I was that kid who was like, you know, too tall at 10. I would have been playing a 15-year-old. So my mom was like, "Yeah, I don't think so. You know, you're gonna not play until like middle school." You know, and then I was.
Thanks, Mom.
It was good. You know, I mean, whatever. You know, you know, I was still hungry for it. So when I was middle school, she's like, "Fine, do whatever the hell you want. You know, because you're gonna do it anyways." So I was big and I was strong.
Yeah.
But it was like strong athletically for those given, you know, athletics that I was in at that point in time.
Right.
It wasn't like military, you know, strong. I wasn't doing 25 pull-ups, you know, I wasn't running, you know, an 18-minute mile.
Right. Those weren't the metrics you were training for.
No,
Yeah.
and I think that's where a lot of kids right now, which it's no fault of their own, but that's where their life is taking them right now. They're in sports, they're in soccer, or wrestling, or football, or baseball, and that's what they're training for, and that's okay because high school is meant to do that. Like maintain athletics, like be an athletic, individual human being. But then unfortunately, a lot of guys are going into boot camp, like I did, 2 months, post high school. And for me, baseball season is where I was. It drove me all the way until the end of high school and then into the summer. So I had maybe a month. So that's really what I try and remember, when I talk to kids now is, they're in athletics, and I would never want to take that away from them. It's good that they're doing that. But they need to start wrapping their brain and their mindset around, okay, once athletics is over with, my high school is done. If I'm going to sign this paper, for a guaranteed, for a 4-year career, you better start striving to be just as good physically at that career you're about to endeavor on, as much as you try to be the best, soccer player, baseball player, football player, whatever sport it may be that you were doing.
And this is where it comes down to our training is. This is where it comes down to our training is that. So this is where it kind of comes down to our training is our training is built for that PFT and built for the swim qual and built for rucking and that sort of thing. So it's to meet those specific requirements, because I don't think people realize when you're coming in on the initial level how important those scores are to your rest of your career.
Yeah.
Like if you come out and you shit the bed right out the gate, I mean, we're talking about promotions, we're talking about job field, we're talking about where you're going to go, what platoon you're going to be in.
I talked to a kid within the last couple of weeks. I talked to a kid who had purchased the program, completed the program, gone to boot camp, and he texted me like literally, the day after he was graduating from boot camp, and and he was promoted meritorious, PFC. And because he was, in the top whatever percentile of his platoon, and he was one of the select few that got, a meritorious promotion to PFC. And that's huge. You're
right.
You're already now a couple months
ahead of everybody else.
Structure goes. And,
yeah.
And a couple guys I've talked to, they got the program, they went through boot camp, and then something, their time frame was delayed, to start SOI, which, their infantry basic training. And I talked to them, and we, kind of compressed the program a little bit. So as soon as they were done with boot camp, they started some of that stuff as an intermediate phase going into SOI.
Right.
If he would have done that, he would have just, sat on his ass and waited until SOI came around and said, I'll get in whatever shape I need to. I wouldn't have received the next message, which was, good thing I did that because I maintained physical shape. I now have the ability, and I'm going to go take the Recon NDOC because I meet the standards.
Yeah.
So now he's able to make it to that next level.
Right. Instead of just, and this is what drives me crazy. I mean, you saw the video of me like getting frustrated with all the silly comments that are, and the bare minimum shit, like, and for us, it's hard to understand because, I was a part of Force Recon. I was at Recon Battalion. I was a Marine Raider, and you had the same accolades. And to get to that level, you don't do the bare minimum shit. Like you have to apply yourself. You don't even have the mentality.
It's not even a factor in that brain.
And so to read this, and this is what they say. And you see it too. It's like, well, you're just gonna. Oh, you don't need this program. You just need to go. If you're going to get better at pull-ups, just do more pull-ups. And then somebody said, run. You just need to run until you puke, and then run some more, and then that afternoon do it. Repeat again.
Get hard.
Just get tough, dude. Just get hard. I'm like, and I just want to comment yeah, that's how professional athletes train. Yeah, that's exactly. They just run until they puke, and then do it again.
Yeah. and they just do the only one thing that they're supposed to not do. Like it's preposterous, man. It really the sad part about it is that some of those comments come from guys, that are currently,
Yeah.
serving in the military, and I don't even want to direct like another negative attack after they just made a negative comment. Really, what I'd like to do is just get them to twist their thought process a little bit and really kind of almost reread that comment. Or if you're the individual that thinks like that, make that comment to yourself and then start thinking about how like realistic that is
Right.
to reach your next level or next attainable goal.
Right.
You know what I mean? Really take that thought perspective. Take those words, that you might be thinking you're saying, and is it really realistic? No, it's not. I mean, it just isn't.
We're doing the youth of this generation a disservice by just like even recommending that they do the bare minimum. And I know that you and I talk about this a lot, is even after training, like what can I do to better myself in the military? And I'm like, well, let's be honest, when everybody else, when you go to SOI or MCT right here down the street, and they're all going to Toby's and dropping all their money on some, single mom, at Toby's, like, don't do it. Stay, like, go to the gym. I know you got time. Go to the gym. Like, read a book. Like, learn a language. Do something that's going to benefit you. Like, you're young. You have the time to invest in yourself. And instead of just going out and getting the next USMC tattoo. You know what I mean? Which I did. We both did.
Do that, have fun, enjoy that process, but do it in moderation.
Yeah.
Don't do it from a Wednesday till Sunday perspective, and then try and just charge through everything. It's a career, and if you ever want to advance yourself in that career platform, you need to put in the work.
It's just like anything else. You get out what you put in, right? I mean, I take that from you all the time. Like you 100% get out what you put in. And then when Josh talks about that, I mean, I say that like when it comes down to training, like as far as power and getting out what you're putting in, explain that methodology.
I mean, I'll try to explain it. Sounds a lot better in my brain sometimes than when I put it to words, but so you have a given training program, so say someone's utilizing the USMC prep program or whatever it may be, right? The program is as good as the program is. That's the scientific aspect of the program. Now the work input and the direct output which you'll receive is the onus is on the individual. Like now you have to put in that hard work and that dedication, to it. You can't just go through the motions and expect that since you completed, the prescribed stuff that's in the program, you're going to reap the benefits on the backside. That's not it. You got to put forth the intensity. You got to put forth the drive. If you can't just walk through it.
So what you're saying is, and we've talked about this so much, so I pick it up, but it's like every pull up needs to be powerful, squeeze, intense. If we don't do box jumps really, but if you were going to do a box jump, then it needs to be like all of your force and movement in that one rep, instead of just like going through the workout. Make each movement, make each exercise its own exercise, its own.
The driving intensity, isn't screaming and barreling and throwing weights and like chucking them down and like that. Like that's not the intensity. Because if you have all that energy and all that intensity,
you're not
like, slam and throw the bar down. I mean, you use that in a purposeful action throughout the motion of that exercise. Use that drive, contract the right muscles.
So like when we're talking about push-ups, like your glutes is engaged, your core is engaged, your back is engaged, and then you push up and you engage the chest. That's a push-up. That's what we're talking about, intensity and getting out what you put in. Instead of just flailing around and just... which we've seen that, yeah.
Thousands of push-ups. I probably did, thinking that I was doing it properly because I was intense and I was driving and I was just performing a rep, man. And then when someone sat me down, pulled me aside, and was like, "Okay, that sounds great, but listen here, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be, contracting this, driving this, flexing this, pushing with this, pressing with that. Doing 10 of them was exhausting. Those 10 was probably replicated to what the previous 100 would have been, if I wasn't, actuating all the right stuff in the proper, mechanical function.
Yeah. So on that, so the program that we've done, we've specifically focused, and I've mentioned this before, we specifically focus on the requirements and building those. So we started out with I'm overweight, I'm underweight. Okay, we've figured that portion out. The overweight thing is a diet issue, which I'll probably talk about on another date. But we do is, if you're in the group, if you buy the program and you're in the group, we do work with those guys kind of one-on-one to help them out. But when it comes down to the requirements, we talk about like our protocols. Like, instead of just saying, if you want to do push-ups, do push-ups. If you want to get better at pull-ups, do pull-ups. If you want to get better at running, just run until you puke and then run some more. And that's not the way this training is built. Like, let's talk a little bit about like the protocols and the methodology behind, doing those things.
It's basically like it's reverse engineered. Like, any thing you want to be able to dissect properly and figure out properly, essentially it's reverse engineered for either max time, i.e. meaning like, the fastest amount of time,
right,
or the most reps, for the highest direct output of points replicated to your PFT or CFT. And then it's broken down into reps, into a rest iteration as well.
Right.
So with that, with the intensity that you were just talking about, input into all of the reps that you're doing, whether it be push-ups or pull-ups or crunches, then there's a rest iteration that's built into that too. The rest iteration, allows for your body, to almost fully recover itself.
Right.
But then you're induced again to go ahead and perform more reps, because during the PFT process, it's going to be a continuous motion.
Right. So the best way I can break it down is, and we've done it for everything, but the run, right? The run's the easiest way to explain it, I think, is, say you can't run an 18-minute 3-mile. But if I break that down to what you need, what that interval looks like. So if I was running an 18-minute 3-mile, what would my pace be at 100 meters?
Yeah.
Can I get you to run that same pace at 100 meters? Repeatedly, right? So like, so if we can start there, we can't hit the 3-mile mark at 18 minutes, but can we hit the 100 meters and then rest and then repeat the 100 meters? And then through that, we're building the capability to extend that through that, instead of just like, well, I'm trying to run an 18-minute 3-mile, so I'm going to run 3 miles every day. Like, that's already not working. You know what I mean? We got to get something down.
And it's going to be counterproductive, and it's going to be treacherous.
Oh, and then overuse injuries, and that's why we start hearing shin splints and hip issues and all kinds of stuff, because it's just
all walk run.
Yeah.
I mean, it breaks it down from the running aspect, because that's ideally where you end up wanting to be.
Right.
And then if you figure the crawl aspect would be like what you were just saying, is, being able to maximize throughout 100% personal and physical output repeatedly, can your times be repeatable? And if your times are not repeatable, then we need to go ahead and up your rest, your recovery iteration, your time. Because if you're not able to continuously repeat the 100 meters, the 200 meters, the 300 meters, within a certain percentile of your time, it doesn't make sense to go ahead and just run it again. Like, we're going to go ahead, and this is where you need, it gets into where we're able to talk to individuals on a one-on-one basis, is, say I'm working with you and you're like, man, I can do 3 of them, but number 4, 5, and 6, my time goes up by 160%. Okay, Well, then now we just need to fluctuate, and we're going to work with your recovery or your rest iteration.
Right.
So your body can go ahead and recover a little bit more. So then when you give it 100% output, you're now able to hit that time hack, and the repeatability aspect is there.
And we've done the same thing with the pull-ups. So you can't get 25 pull-ups. Can I get 3 really good ones? And then rest.
Yeah.
And then repeat that
Yeah.
for a period of time.
Yes. Repeatability is key. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's not, especially in a PFT environment. That's really what we're trying to drive you to do, is maximize the PFTs. Like you were saying, 10 minutes ago, is that PFTs, I mean, that goes into promotions, that goes into if you want to go to a school, that goes into if you want to eventually, lat move into some sort of, specialized, MOS, promotion boards.
Right.
I don't know. It goes into everything that it plays into. You need to take it serious. I mean.
Yeah, and I think that's where sometimes people miss the mark, because they think that it's just boot camp training for boot camp, and it's not really. It's actually methodical training. And honestly, this is what I love about it. And I almost feel like we should almost rebrand it, the same training protocol with a different name. So because what we accidentally did, and I say accidentally loosely, but what we accidentally did was develop a training protocol that just developed a solid physical fitness, strength and conditioning foundation.
Yes.
Like, so after 12 weeks of this, you're going to be stronger, both in calisthenics, both in being able to pull and push, and you're going to be able to move your body efficiently for a period of 3 miles.
Yeah.
Like, if like I've had guys say, I want to do this training, but I don't feel like I'm there yet. I'm like, don't do it, because then you're going to induce injury. Like, start with this. Build your foundation up to where you're just to have a solid, you're healthy and you're physically fit, and then go on to the next thing, whether it be bodybuilding or the Raider prep or whatever.
I look at it because and then my brain's always going back to, okay, well, where else could this program apply? That's exactly what you were just saying. Is, say you're in the fleet, you're with infantry battalion, whatever it may be, or whatever unit that you're with, right? And you're at field exercise, whatever. Something happens, and you have like an ACL tear, or you have an injury that renders surgery, or it puts you on limited duty or light duty status for
Right.
a period of time. Well, you're not going to be PTing with your unit anymore. Your PT is probably going to lax, as a whole.
Right.
Whatever else is going to happen after that, well, you need to go ahead and recover yourself. You need to go ahead and get better. It's a perfect program for that, because it's designing you on a fundamental foundational aspect to grow yourself, and it's pushing you towards maximizing a PFT.
Right.
Well, obviously you'll have to work with, your PTs, your OTs, or whoever it is for your specific, injury or ailment that you might have. But for the rest of it, you utilize the program, and that'll boost up your recovery process, build back a foundation of, fundamental strength, and it's also building back your PFT. So when you come out of your light duty status, you're prepped and ready.
I feel like remember those old commercials with like the hair club for men? I'm not just a client. I'm not just the owner. I'm actually a client myself. You know what I mean? Shows before and afters. But what you're saying is like, you're spot on, because I've done both things. Like, you've seen me, and you too. Like, I've had surgeries where the doc said, okay, I don't want you to do anything, and because of your heart rate and blah, I don't want you to blow blood vessels and all kinds of weird stuff. So I just literally for 12 weeks sit on my ass and don't do anything and just go through my day. Yeah. And then I try to get better, and I get back in the gym and start training again, and holy shit, dude, it's disaster. It's a disaster.
What are you trying to do? Is you're trying to revert back to the same protocol or program that you were on prior to injury. You can't do that.
You can't do that, right? You're starting from scratch. But then there was other times where I've had a rebuild, or they tuned something up. I had to get something sewn back together or whatever, and then I did training based like what we've done before. Is like, when you were recovering, it was okay. Well, if this is in a sling, then I'm tying this thing up. I'm getting on boxes. I'm doing goblet squats with chains and kettlebells. I'm doing resistance with bands. I'm doing whatever I can do, but I'm still training and I'm engaging all these different muscle groups. I'm engaging my heart and my lungs, and man, the recovery, everything, even with this injury, goes faster because the blood's flowing. You're getting movement in there, and your whole body's one piece. So just because you're moving this doesn't mean that this isn't reaping the benefits, and it does. And man, when I do it that way, once I get like the green light, it's a fraction of the time to get back to where I was.
And now you're properly primed and ready, to get back to your unit and to get back to your job, because like that status is only going to last so long. I mean, depending on injury, you know what I mean? Like, it's only going to last so long.
Right.
And then that paper is going to get torn up, or it's going to get whatever. It's not going to get signed off that next month, and you're going to go right back into doing whatever it is that the rest of your team or platoon or squad or whatever is doing, and you're going to be expected to perform. Like, it's not, they're not going to, give you the pity party anymore. It's going to be, you're back with the team or you're back with the platoon now, and we're expecting you to go ahead and rock and roll and
game on.
Just as efficient as everybody else, that you're working with.
Right.
And if you're not, it's no one's fault but your own. You got to start taking onus of yourself, start taking control of yourself, and moving in the right direction.
So let's segue into this. So one, it's awesome that people are using USMC prep, like the active duty guys are using USMC prep to train to better their PFT on active duty. So it's not just because of the way we built it, it's not really just a prep for like to go to basic training. It's really a Marine prep to get you to max out all your abilities, right?
Yeah, just weird.
And so we have a bunch of guys that are using it to increase their PFT scores out in the fleet, which I think is cool. But this brings me to the segue into Raider prep, and I have my own personal thoughts on that. But what are your thoughts on people using Raider prep? I don't really push Raider prep that much because it's a very, in my opinion, it's a very unique thing. Great, it's an awesome training program. It's a kick in the pants, but it's the specific. What's the word? Specificity.
Oh, let's go and try for a while. Go ahead, keep going.
Specificity. I can't do it. Specificity. I don't know. But the way the training is built, right? It's so specific. It's not the word, but it's specific to a certain thing. So what's your thoughts on anybody grabbing that and using it to train for basic training or anything?
For basic training, no. I mean, like, quite honestly, no.
Because they want to be a badass. Like, I'm going to do the Raider prep. I'm going to do the Marine Raider prep, and I'm going to be badass, do badass training, and like train until I puke every day, and because that's how you get it done.
So let's identify what is it designed for. It's designed for for selection, for becoming a Marine Raider. Right?
Yeah.
What caliber is selection in the difficulty aspect of processes in the U.S. or in the world, or whatever you want to consider?
Less than 1%.
My hand's out of the screen right now, but it's on the higher echelon.
Right.
So in order to be doing that, you really got to think like, have I laid down the foundation, laid down the fundamentals, and properly trained myself in order to be able to like even effectively perform or do this program to its fullest.
Right.
That's a question you ask yourself, and then figure out, okay, well, if it's a kid going to boot camp, well, really, what should my focus be on? It should be kicking ass and fucking doing awesome boot camp.
Right.
Becoming, the best in my platoon, the best in my company, the best in my battalion, whatever it is at boot camp. Because in order to maximize that, is more along the lines of like a USMC prep. That's going to build the fundamental aspects. So, I mean, even if a kid has a year before
running a few times, like that's what I tell them. I'm like, yeah,
run it a couple times, because
yeah,
you know what's going to change is your weight is going to increase, your percent, your weight ability is going to increase.
right,
Fundamental mechanics throughout any given movement is going to be that much more refined.
correct.
Your times on your sprint are hopefully going to be lower.
Right.
Now it's still 100% output on you, but that's the variable that's going to change.
Yeah, your ability is increasing. So what you started with on the first rotation might have been a 25-minute 3 mile, but now you're down to a 21 or 20. So and over the next 12 minutes, next 12 weeks, you might be able to get that 21 if you push yourself down to an 18. So
Yeah.
and it doesn't happen like there's brackets, right? They're like you can't just go from 0 to hero. Like you have to put the work in and the time. It takes time for your body to recover, break it down, recover, rebuild, break it down, recover. I mean, this doesn't happen overnight. So by doing it a second or third time, you're really ratcheting your scores up. So what your initial test was in the first on pull-ups might have been 10, and then you ended at 15. Well, next over the rotation, you go from 15 to 20, 25.
Yeah.
Because that needs to be the focus, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so even go to selection, for MARSOC, right? Like you have to be in the Marine Corps
For
two,
like 3 years.
And there you go. I was just going to say, as far as the timetable is concerned, regardless of your, whatever else, the other things that you need, the timetable is a 3 years post, boot camp,
Right.
being in the military. So you're going to have time to continuously, get stronger, get faster, get healthier, become this greater human being, that you can become, until you even have the ability to go to selection. Like, you're not even going to be looked at. It's not even a chance.
Right.
So know that, understand that information, and don't get discouraged by it. Think about, awesome, I got 3 years while I'm in the military. I got 3 years to become fucking awesome, become the best, physical, mental, whatever.
I was just about to say that. Is like if a Marine hit me up,
selection.
if a Marine hit me up and said, "Hey, I want to go to selection. I want to buy your thing," I'm gonna be like, "Where's your PFT at? Let's start there." Like, because if you're running a 225 or even a 250 and you're thinking about going to selection, bro, don't do that. Like, get your go back to the basics, master the basics, get yourself up to a 280 or above, and then once you have that solid foundation, then start training for selection.
Yeah. So basically, just like you were just saying, right? So you were talking about the bare minimum before for like boot camp and passing and Marine Corps and all this other stuff. Well, the quote bare minimum, is a first class PFT in order to get looked.
What was that, a 225?
That's the bare minimum. Now, again, if you want to excel or really even be looked at,
dude, did you? I mean, like, we're not giving any secrets away here, but like, did you have anybody pass selection that had a 225 PFT?
I mean, I didn't know everybody's PFT score, but like gauging by everybody,
Right.
like no.
And even ITC, our team, like, I didn't have anybody that ran a 225 in our team.
No.
Not happening, bro. Like, you just mentally, physically wouldn't be able to keep up.
No. Like the rest of all the other standards and the things that you're going to encounter will not, if your PFT's that low, I mean, like.
So my point is, don't set yourself up for failure. Don't go in there with that. Don't go in there with that ability, thinking that, okay, I'm just going to push hard and push through it. Like, you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment. And if you are if you're a sergeant at 3 years or 3.5 years, where you just blew your one shot. Like, by the time you get recycled or you go get back in shape and then try to do it again, like, dude, you're done. They're not going to take you.
Yeah, I mean, what if, something else happens in your career and you know, get promoted to a next, whatever it is you get promoted to, and then at that point, they're not looking for guys in that, fruit fly. You know, they're not looking for guys with that certain rank, you know, so you need to put in the work and lay that groundwork up front. But yeah, man, I mean, getting back to what you were asking, like other programs, SF programs, SEAL programs, like you can go straight in with a contract. So you can take that year prior to going to all those things, to go through laying proper foundation and going through proper prep programs before
and you should. If you're going right into it, you need to have the basics, and then you need to have everything done prior to. You need to spend a year, 2 years just prepping to go to selection.
Yeah.
I know we were just talking to Jeff up at the TSAC thing, and he was telling people, like, we were talking about it, and he was like telling people to wait to join the Navy to go to BUD/S, and he's absolutely right. Wait, like, what's the difference in 18 and 20? Like, take those 2 years.
Maturity and physical ability, that's the difference.
Like that 2 years.
All from your court.
Yeah, that 2 years is the difference between you probably, you know, passing BUD/S and not passing BUD/S.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no fire.
That's just facts of it. After talking to, you know, obviously we've never been through that pipeline, but that's talking to all the guys that went through that pipeline very successfully, and you know, effectively, you know, afterwards, and had involvement within the rest of that process. Like,
and I want to hit it home again, man. That you do not get better by necessarily doing more. Like the days of like training and then puking in the garbage can and then high-fiving everybody, like that's like it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not even funny, man. It's more sad. It's like shit. Either I was, if the training maybe was good, is either you were so ill prepared for that and you need to start preparing better, or whatever training you're doing is ill preparing you and not preparing you properly for whatever it is you're trying to be doing.
I remember Mason I think it was Mason that told us when we were like, he said when you train, you know, this is at the Perez program at Marine Special Operations Command. When we train with him, he wants us to he wants to work us, but he wants us to walk out of those doors with a little bit left in the tank and us feeling good.
Yep.
Like that's the recovery mode that he wants to send us home in, not like crawling out of there. And that's for training. Now keep in mind, when you're doing the job and you're in the training to become that, yes, you are going to train and go through some things you're going to be crawling out and in and into things. But that's not what you want. That's not how you want to prepare. You know, at that point, it's just a mental toughness to just say, I'm doing this until it's over. You know, but that's not how you prepare for those events.
No. I mean, you're putting forth 100% effort to the best of your ability while you're training.
Within that,
in that training window. But by the time you've done your recovery aspect from that training, like in your gym setting or, you know, in the woods or wherever that training,
whatever is going on,
post like, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes of a recovery process, you should be pretty mentally.
You should feel good. Yeah.
Your body should feel pretty good as well. And yeah, you're going to be beat up. And yeah, you're going to be, your tank isn't going to be all completely full, but you should be able to perform the rest of the day's activities.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, you don't get so crushed you have to go lay on your living room floor and you just lay there all day because you're destroyed.
Yeah, and you're like dreading until the next training session comes around the next day, and that's a repetitive process.
And we don't even have to get into like what that's doing to your central nervous system.
Terrible.
You know, and like stress inducing, and now you're creating a stress hormone in conjunction with working out, with training. You know, so every time you train, you start your cortisol goes up, and it's a vicious cycle.
I'm doing stuff for real, and then there's an improper chemical spike.
Right.
Body when you're maybe conducting real life, missions or an operation. Not the type of chemicals you want.
Right.
Being dumped into your body.
Well, so let's see. Closing thoughts on that, and we'll talk what we have coming on. Closing thoughts on USMC prep. Or just training for the military in general.
I think
entry level.
Another one, inadvertently you hit on it right there, was like real quickly just covering down on sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is like your best recovery mechanism.
Which we have in the book, making sure you're getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep, depending on how hard you're training. Yeah.
Proper and adequate, sleep. I mean, find a regimen, find a routine, that allows you to kind of start, de-stressing or desensitizing, your night process.
So that's where recovery happens. That's where we grow.
Partying and raging until 4 a.m. to, dive bombing on your couch, and then expect your body to be able to wake up in the morning. And,
I don't know why my pull-ups aren't getting better.
I'm not naive, man. Like I was there for years of my life and doing whatever, and it happens. Okay.
So Josh and I may or may not have drank 6 or 7 pitchers of beer and then went for a run 4 hours later for Team PT.
Yeah.
Which we totally smoked, by the way.
And I think Jeff said, and I freaking use it all the time, is like that's a sign of human resiliency, not human optimization or proper human performance.
So you're tough. Yeah.
That's great that you're resilient, but that's not going to be optimal. It's not going to be proper human performance.
Right.
And if you're looking to excel, that's what you need to do. Anyways, so sleep, just find some sort of sleep regime that de-escalates your brain and your senses before you go to sleep. Get some sound, proper, solid sleep. As best as you can. Set the environment right as best as you can. And then that'll aid in your recovery process. That'll aid in your proper hormone process. I mean, it's got more benefits than most people really realize. And that I heard for so long, and then once I watched a couple proper videos on it, talks on it from some really scientific people, I was like, shit.
Yeah, and you're posting a lot of that information in the groups, in the private groups, pretty regularly.
So, that's one thing, and then just nutrition. I mean, it sounds cliche. I mean, some of it does, but eating properly.
It's fuel. You're a machine. You're fueling your body. If you put shit fuel in, that's what you're gonna get out.
Yeah. And again, I mean, it was there was guys that were eating McDonald's and drinking Dr. Pepper and smoking cigarettes. That's human resiliency. Like that doesn't mean internally that their body wasn't garbage. That was back when I was like infantry stuff. That wasn't that that wasn't at MARSOC.
Yeah.
Totally but what you put in is what you're gonna get out.
Yeah, and then as far as, I mean, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of too much of nutrition, but it comes to, like, if you're overweight or underweight, it comes down to calories in, calories out. So if you're eating 3,000 calories or 4,000 calories, but you're only burning 2,000, guess what it means? You're gaining weight. If you're burning 3,000 and you're eating 2,500, guess what that means? You're losing weight. It's not rocket science. It's simple math. You have to be calorie deficient to lose, and you have to be calorie surplus to gain. That's it. Like, if you're saying, well, I'm not losing weight, then you're not calorie deficient. I promise you. You're not calorie deficient.
And that's directly, aligned with, your training as well.
Yeah.
And how you're going about
and how hard you're hitting it. So, for instance, like a good ending point, but I can do one of the USMC prep workouts, right? I can watch my watch. I can manage my calorie burn, my activity level, and then I can just go through it, like just do through the motions.
Yeah, walk through the motions,
and it'll be like 200, or I can intensify it. Engage my body, engage the floor, engage each movement, and it will be over double that just by doing those things.
Utilizing the same training program, training prescribed.
Right.
It's what you're putting into it.
Right.
Is what you're getting out of it.
And it was amazing to me to see that, like, just to run that data and go like, holy cow, when I slow everything down and I make those movements more intense, I engage my body, I engage my glutes, my core, everything for that one movement. It just almost triples the actual burn and the intensity. And you know what? You get freaking smoked too. Yeah. Dripping sweat.
Realize how hard like a plank really is.
Right, right. Oh man, the first time that I trained with Chris Frankel, holy cow. Yeah, you're like, I've been working out wrong my whole life.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I really don't want to do planks anymore. I still do it, but you know what I mean? Like you start rethinking like, holy crap, man, this is how I'm supposed to be actually engaging and utilizing my body.
So if you're training to join the military, more is not better. Get something that's like, I don't know how to say it. Like, if you're not using ours, get something that has some serious thought put into it, and that also meets the requirements for what you actually need to get done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the beauty of it is, you know, everyone is a little bit different. You know, a training regime is a training regime, and that's where the benefit of the group really comes in, is that there's a whole board of people, you know, who have their own individualistic aspects about themselves.
Right.
You know, they post in there, and you can read the threads, or, you know, you DM us, you know, on the side if you really need to.
Yeah, so our stuff, our plug is USMCprep.com and RaiderPrep.com, and then within a month here, we're launching the Recon Prep and the female program. Chick Fit? I don't know. We got to come up with a name. Nobody signs off on Chick. I like Chick Fit, but it's all a no-go on across the board from all the ladies.
From the chicks.
From the chicks. They say no. But then they don't offer a solution. They just say no.
Well, then the no is null and void.
Yeah.
So you have, you know, a proper solution to a perceived problem. Your answer is null and void. Your vote doesn't count.
God. All right, man. Well, it was good talking to you.
Right on, man.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Just train hard, but train smart.
Train hard, but train smart, guys.
Hard, train smart.
And from the man in Hawaii, soaking up all the good sun and weather, and the earthquakes and the volcano. All right, guys. Hey, check out our programs, USMCprep.com, RaiderPrep.com, and then stand by. In about 3 weeks, we'll have Recon Prep and a female program to help, you know, overall fitness for females. All the females in our lives have requested us multiple times to make this happen, and so we obliged. Reluctantly, maybe.
Reluctantly, after, you know, quite a bit of time, but hey, you know.
Yeah, but it'll be good. And if we can help them, we may be able to help some of your girlfriends and wives and the ladies that are watching here. And that's what it's all about. Making all of us bigger, faster, stronger, jacked and tan, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better human beings. All right, guys. Never quit. Never surrender. Later.